So during the early years of Power Rangers, the actors were not necessarily treated the best, with some of the well-known examples being the actors for Jason, Zach, and Trini, aka Austin St. John, Walter Jones, and Twee Trang, having left the show over pay reasons. However, there are some actors who left the show before they could even make it onto the big screen, or I guess whatever size your screen is, because it wasn't a movie. But some actors never managed to make it into the show and were only in early development. So today we're going to be talking about 5 actors who did not make the cut. Well, most of them did, but they just left the show before their episodes could air. So without further ado, let's get on into it. So the first actor to ever be replaced was Audrey Dubois. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I've never really heard anyone say it, so that's how I presume it's said. Anyway, she was originally cast as Trini Kwan, or just Trini as she was known back then. She only appeared in one episode, that being the Lost episode, aka the original pilot for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The episode was filmed in 1992, however, it did not air to the public until 1999 during a special called Power Rangers, the Lost episode, which was hosted by Austin St. John and Walter Jones, 2 actors who had actually previously left the show, but presumably their relationship was rebuilt. The special featured clips from the previous seasons, kind of like Walter Jones and Austin St. John recapping the seasons, including Lost Galaxy, the season that was currently airing. And then, finally, they showed the original pilot for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which featured Audrey Dubois. And in this pilot, you can still see some elements from the original, like what actually aired, mostly because, it still uses Ranger footage. But there are some major differences. For example, main hangout spot, you forget about Ernie's, it was a bowling alley. Zordon, you know that guy? His name was Zoltar for some reason, and there are even some other major name changes. Goldar was Flydar, King Sphinx was Fly Guy, Squat was Grok, Babu was Mongo, but Finster was still Finster. The Power Morphers were even referred to as Transmorphers, which, funnily enough, would be what they would later call the Lost Galaxy Morphers. And even, the Rangers' attitude was a little different. They full on, beat up Bulk and Skull, or Bulk and Skull. They were not named in the pilot, but they, beat up the people who were presumably supposed to be Bulk and Skull. But then also, they even had the Zords not named Zords. The Megazord was named Mega Dino Droid, and then the normal Zords were just named Dino Droids. The Rangers even fight King Sphinx, or as he was known then, Fly Guy, instead of just Goldar in the first episode. Now, the main and most obvious difference is probably the actor. There's a whole actor that's different, that being Audrey Dubois. She would play Trini, but later on she would eventually leave due to her actually having a life in her hometown. But they were like, no, we actually need you in LA. And she was like, I want more money if you're going to make me move. And they were like, no, sorry. And they recasted her. And it's funny as well, the actor who ultimately replaced her also left because of pay issues. So funny how those things just seem to work out. It's almost like they didn't get paid enough for what they did. Now, while this actor, Audrey Dubois, left for money reasons, this next actor actually left for a very different reason. And that actor is Hilary Shepard Turner. While many fans know her as Divatox, the funny space pirate villain from Power Rangers Turbo and In Space, she actually was not the only actor to ever portray this character, which is really funny. I feel like you would never notice this if you actually just watched the show, which is weird because it's a completely different actor. She portrayed Divatox for the movie and also the last 20 episodes of Turbo. But for the first 25, she was actually portrayed by Carol Holt due to Hillary actually leaving because she was actually pregnant. She got pregnant, I think, before the movie started filming, and then the movie was filmed, and then it was kind of like, well, first of all, you're pregnant, you got a big belly. Second of all, you're pregnant. I don't think you should be filming a TV show while you're pregnant, especially that late. So she actually did leave production. However, she managed to come back in the last 25 episodes. While you probably would never notice her actually being absent, there are like a few kind of details you can notice. Like they kind of portrayed the characters a little differently. Like Hillary was more of like a diva talks, like she was playing diva talks. She was more of like a diva, and like you can kind of notice if you look back, if you go from Time Freezes Over to The Darkest Day, you can actually notice a major change between the two, because when Time Freezes Over was the last time that Carol Holt played Diva Talks, and then Hilary Shepard took back over during Darkest Day, with Carol playing her more of like a serious, like not no nonsense, but like more like strong headed and won't take no. Like I don't really know. You kind of just have to watch it to just notice the difference. It's hard to describe. However, after Darkest Day, Hillary took back over and even was there for the few episodes she was in for Power Rangers in Space. And it's actually funny enough that not only were the main Power Rangers replaced midway through the season, but the main villain was kind of like, like it was the same character but different actor. But it's funny how that worked out. The New Super Rangers only fought Carol Holt Steve Talks for 5 episodes. And then it was like, welcome back, Hillary Shepard. Woo! The next actor to be replaced was Aaron Sims. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Again, forgive me if I don't pronounce any of these names right. I don't know any better. She was originally cast to play Maya from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. This one is unique as she chose to leave production, but like wasn't like the reason is unknown. We do know that some scenes were shot, however, with her in them, but I wish I had more to say about this actor, but not much is known, and we really just know that she shot scenes and then for some reason she left production and she was replaced by the actor, forgive me if I mispronounce this, Sierra Vincent, I think is how you say it. And she just played a wonderful version of Maya, so I'm not really complaining about the actor replacement, but we'll never really know how the original actor would have played her. But anyway, the next actor to be replaced is, again, forgive me if I mispronounce this, Natasha Elias, maybe? She originally portrayed Princess Shayla in Power Rangers Wild Force. And funnily enough, like, in the show, there's still like a remnant of her being there. Like, to explain real fast, she originally, like, when she was cast as Princess Shayla, Princess Shayla had a completely different outfit. It was more like pink than white and blue. But if you look in the episode 3, I think it is, it's like click click zoom, I think. There's a picture book of the story of the Animarium, and in the book, you can see Princess Shayla is wearing something different than what she usually is. That outfit is the original Princess Shayla outfit, and I guess they just didn't like like do that part of it because there were multiple episodes shot enough to where she made it like there's a intro out there with her credited in it. So this must have been pretty far in advance, like that they changed the actor to even, especially when you think about it, like the book, she was in it. But again, she her reason for leaving is not very well known. In fact, I couldn't find anything to say why she left production. However, she was recast by the wonderful Anne Marie Crouch. Again, forgive me if I don't pronounce any of these names right. It's very bad for me. But that's all for that actor. The last and final actor is the actor who would play Calvin Maxwell, and that is, again, forgive me. I know I've said this a billion times. Forgive me if I don't say this right. Chance Simpson, I think is how you would say it. This one is actually an interesting one in that he went to, like Power Morphicon, like they would reveal next season's Rangers there. He went to that and he was revealed as next season's Ranger. But then later on, I guess for some reason he was replaced, and he was replaced by Nico Greenham. Again, forgive me if I mispronounce that. I'm very bad with names. But that is really it. His reason for leaving is not known either. But we do know that he never actually made it to be able to shoot the show. He was replaced before they could start filming. So we know that was Probably not the best situation for him, but it was pretty good for the guy who replaced him. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. No need to subscribe. Happy with the amount I'm at right now. No need. Thank you guys so much for that. Again, 1,000 subscribers, 300 by the time you're watching this. So thank you all very much. That's all I really got. So I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.